Is a legendary Amazonian monster actually a prehistoric giant? This is all things creepy. Let's begin. A Mapinguari is a monster localized in Bolivian and Brazilian folklore. It's said to reside deep in the rainforest, towering over any other native animal. It's said to have a foul scent, a single cyclopean eye, and if that wasn't weird enough, a gigantic mouth or more gaping right across the belly or stomach. So this thing has puzzled cryptozoologists for quite a while now. As I'm sure you're aware, the Amazon rainforest is huge and pretty much unexplored. We've only really scratched the surface over there and continue to find new species all the time. It's so dense and deep that there are human tribes out there that are completely isolated. Some of these tribes fear the Mapinguari. They claim to have encountered it out in the rainforest. And based on their depictions, it probably wasn't very friendly towards them. But just how likely is it that there is something this big and this aggressive out there in the rainforest? Well, it's not impossible. And whilst there are numerous theories as to what this could be, an entirely new and undiscovered species, or maybe just hysteria, we are going to be looking at one of the more interesting theories. As recently as just 10,000 years ago, the sloth family was a lot more diverse than it is now. The tree huggers we know today are pretty peaceful. Across prehistoric South America there roamed gigantic land sloths and even marine sloths, but we'll save that for another video. These ground sloths could get huge, as big as mammoths almost, standing well over 3 meters tall if they raised onto their hind legs. Interestingly enough, the Mapinguari is allegedly reported to have raised back on its hind legs at the scent of humans. Primitive humans, back when the giant ground sloth was still in existence, would have tried to hunt this animal. It probably had a lot of meat on it. So I'm sure that any that have survived to this point would be pretty much avoidant of humans entirely. Members of the sloth family all have this characteristically flat face with the eyes widely set. Sid the Sloth from Ice Age is obviously a characterization of this, an extreme case, but you can clearly see that the eyes are very small and set far apart, whilst the nose is much larger and prominent. If someone glimpsed this, and only for a fraction of a second before they ran away, they could easily interpret that large nose as the eye, rather than the two much smaller, true eyes. As a result, this easily could conjure the cyclopean image. The mouth on the stomach is a little harder to explain. However, most modern sloths do have a scent gland, and it's pretty large. If you see this tree sloth here, you may wonder why there's this weird greenish shape on it. That is actually a scent gland, where it produces foul scents to ward off predators, to attract mates, various purposes. But it's not far-fetched to assume sloths of all kinds had this scent gland, and maybe if it was situated on the stomach, it could have the appearance loosely of a mouth if you only saw it very briefly. This also would explain the foul smell. Next we come to the weapons of this creature. Its huge claws and long shambling arms. And if we take a look at a ground sloth skeleton, they definitely had long and powerful arms with hooked claws. These could be used as a clubbing weapon or just to reach tall branches. Whether ground sloths really are out there, it's not all that likely, but of course anything is possible. What's much more likely is that these tribal people who have been living in South America for generations, maybe they've passed these stories down. Maybe at some point one of their ancestors 10,000 years ago did indeed come across one of these ground sloths when they were on the decline, and he tells his children about it and they tell their children about it over and over, and over time the details get a little more blurry. The nose becomes an eye, the scent gland becomes a mouth. Perhaps the giant ground sloth is physically extinct, but lives on through the words told and passed down all the way from those ancestors. It's an interesting theory. Of course, I would much rather the ground sloths still exist because I'm a pretty big fan. And tree sloths these days always get picked on. They have a pretty bad reputation, so I think they need that big brother. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video if you did, share it with a friend, and of course if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.